What's going on? Back again. Right now I'll be sharing with you guys an in-depth tutorial of the trap bar deadlift. I'll be giving you guys the ins and outs, biomechanics, some tips, who it's applicable for, so on and so forth. So first things first, what I really like about the trap bar deadlift is that it's a very versatile piece of equipment. You have a high handle and then you have a low handle. And for certain clients, for example, you might work with, or if you have, for example, a training partner, whatever the case is, some people may not have the adequate amount of mobility and flexibility to get down into the right spot with a more neutral spine. And that's where the trap bar deadlift comes into play, because let's say you're working with a beginner, they have the center of mass aspect down. When you have a barbell in front of them and you start them off day one with that, it's a bit more technical. But the learning curve for the trap bar deadlift, it's not over the top complicated, and generally speaking, it could look a lot better than other lifts in the right context. So that's first things first. It has the squatting component because you're squatting down, you're squatting up, not all the way down like ass to grass, but it also has the deadlifting component because you're ripping heavy weights off the ground. So it gives you the best of both worlds, but it's not really specific to a true squat, but it's not really specific to a true deadlift. It's more of a hybrid. So if you want to get more hingy, if you want to feel more of your hamstrings, you want to feel more glutes and your erectors, you'd be better off doing something like an RDL. But as far as the trap bar deadlift is concerned, it's a great tool for people who want to start deadlifting. You could start someone off with a conventional deadlift day one, but for a lot of people, a trap bar deadlift is a great place to start, especially if they're a lot younger. So let's get into the technique right now. We have the high handle right now. You could obviously lift a lot heavier because the range of motion is less, but then again, let's say somebody's like 6 feet tall or above, let's say they're like 6'6". This might be a great place to start. If they're even taller, maybe we could even elevate this on a block. Most people aren't. As far as the setup is concerned, let me just talk about the low handle, because that's what most people do. So we're centered inside the bar, and I feel like a lot of people, they rush the setup, so that they just go down, rip it off right away. But there's a certain way you want to go about it, especially as the weights start getting heavier. And by the way, this is not just a beginner exercise. You could be from a beginner day one all the way to advanced, been training 20 plus years, and still utilize the trap bar deadlift in your programming. So as far as the setup is concerned, you obviously want to be centered inside of it, just for step one. You don't want to be too far, you don't want to be too back. As far as the hands, you want to make sure your middle finger is lined up with the bar, right here. Boom. So give you the best leverages to lift more weight and be more safe. Now, as far as the setup is concerned, I mentioned this in previous videos, I'm just going to reiterate. I want to get a reach in. The reason why is because I don't want to be extended when I'm lifting. I want a proper stack. I want to have a stable rib cage over pelvis. So I'm going to get the reach in, I'm going to exhale. I want to basically create my own belt. I want to feel my obliques fire throughout the eccentric, the pause, and the concentric. So it looks a bit like this. Reach, my fingertips. So already when I do this, this starts shifting me back, because I'm getting the posterior ribcage expansion onto my heels. The more heels I feel, the more hamstrings I feel. The more hamstrings I feel, the more stacked I feel. So it's kind of like a nail. I don't want to be a bent nail. If you're a bent nail and you try to hammer it, it's a bit crooked. You have to try to straighten it out. But if you're a straight nail, you could take a hammer, you could just smash it all day long. So right here, reach, exhale. Feel the obliques the whole time. Now I'm going to go down. Nice. I want you guys to hear the slack. So I don't want to just rip it off the ground. I want to hear the slack. So you're going to hear it very gently. Then from here, I'm not going to rush into the pull. I'm going to feel my heels. And the biggest mistake people make is they pull the weight. I don't want you guys to pull the weight. Remember, this is more, there's a lot of quads in this exercise. We want to basically push ourselves into the ground. Like Richard Hawthorne said, the deadlift is a push, it's not a pull. And this is a great ideology. It's a great way to look at it. So, okay, here, get the slack out. As far as head position, I don't want to be too extended. I don't want to look too much at the ground either. Maybe 6 feet in front of me is perfectly fine. I want to find my heels, slack, and I'm going to drive my feet into the ground aggressively. So, And that's basically it. That's the trap bar deadlift. That's the technique as far as it's concerned. Now, if you're looking for variations, let's say for example, you wanna make this a main lift, whatever the case is, let's say you wanna get more range of motion, a variation I like quite a lot is the deficit variation. So you can take a plate, like so. This will give you more range of motion. So, reach. So as you can see, I'm standing taller. This gives me more range of motion throughout the lift. Another variation I like quite a lot is the pause trap bar deadlift. This makes it a lot harder. You want to basically pause just an inch off the ground. So, like so. Another great variation is the hover deadlift. This is the deadlift where it doesn't touch the ground at all, keeps constant tension, and there's no dead stop component. So it'll look a bit like this. It's supposed to touch on the ground. Great as well. And then obviously we have the split stance variation, which I spoke about in this video right here. So that's pretty much it. That's the trap bar deadlift. That's who it's applicable for. That's the technique. Those are some variations. So let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Did you learn anything? And see you next time.